What's up, everyone? Thanks for being here. It is the Slate, the Thursday sports edition. Adam Kaufman, and joined once again by Reed T. Fowler. Reed, we missed you last week.
Yeah, I was doing a little something, Cough, last week. No, I wasn't taking my 20-minute power naps throughout the week and on vacation.
Yeah,
I was at a little place called PGA Tour Live. You ever heard of it?
I have heard of it. That's located in the FLA, is it not?
It is. It is amongst the people. That's all I'll say. CC Emerson Lazio, if you want to know more about Florida, man.
Yeah, I mean, if anyone needs to know just a little bit more about Florida, watch the Sweat in the morning, watch the Slate, on Wednesdays. Get Emerson is fairly representative of what you may come across in the state of Florida.
Smartest thing you've ever said, Cough.
Well, I you know what? It's fitting that we talk about that because I want to begin in the fine state of Florida. And I can't say that I'm shocked, Reed. I can't say that I'm shocked, but there was a bombshell in the NFL that came down yesterday that everyone, I would hope, who is listening and watching knows by now. And by all means, if anyone has any thoughts, questions, concerns, whatever it is, if you're on YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, wherever you're finding us, get them in as it relates to anything. NFL, golf with the Valero Texas Open, NBA tonight, anything you want to discuss, we're here for you until almost 6 o'clock Eastern time. But of course, I'm talking about the not quite defending 2 years ago Super Bowl champs in the NFL. Bruce Arians and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are moving into a change. Bruce is retiring to the front office, and Todd Bowles has been elevated from defensive coordinator to now head coach. And look, I believe what it seems the vast majority of people out there believe, Reed, which is this was not the elder statesman's call there. Granddad, who once retired before when he was back with Arizona and then came out of retirement to lead Tampa Bay a couple of years back. I don't believe this was retirement by choice this time around to set up his buddy Todd Bowles with a great team and not a rebuild and all the spin that's been sent our way by those in the media carrying water. I think this was Tom Brady saying to the Glazers, saying to ownership, look, if you want me back, and I do want to come back, I can't play for that guy anymore. There needs to be a change here. That is what I believe went down. What about you?
Yeah, I mean, why do you think that is? I mean, you've covered Tom Brady for 2 decades when he was in New England. Why do you think that is?
Well, I think first and foremost, it's just fascinating because it further shows that what happened in New England, I'm not even talking about the success on the field. What happened in New England, just the fact that Bill Belichick and Tom Brady, two guys with, and this is not a criticism, this is what's to be expected when you're talking about two all-time greats, two guys with massive egos could coexist for 20 years. 20 years. They effectively were a domestic partnership. They were seeing each other more than they were seeing their families over the last 2 decades. They were effectively football married, chasing winning above all else. That was what united them. And if there's one thing that did separate 20 years with Bill Belichick versus 2 years with Bruce Arians is Belichick did not, in Tom, if you want to believe all the reporting from years past from Seth Wickersham and others, Tom Brady didn't always appreciate the lack of love from Bill Belichick. But one thing Bill did not do that Bruce did regularly is drag him through the media. And I'm sure, at least he came up with Bill Belichick. Like he went from pick 199, nobody taken in the 6th round, and became the greatest of all time, arguably, if you want to put it that way. But to me, the greatest of all time. He showed up, that guy, to Bruce Arians to save that franchise. And I mean, there were plenty of positive things said and done, don't get me wrong, but there was also a whole lot of, driving over with the bus and backing over with the bus. And I think Brady and his ego at almost 45 years old, I think he tired of it.
Yeah. And look, Brady's going to be the de facto offensive coordinator, right? Right. That's basically what it's going to be. And he deserves that. Brady deserves it because of what he's been able to accomplish over the last few decades. And I think you're probably right. And how does it affect what we do in terms of the odds, fantasy perspective and outlook for DFS and sports betting? I don't really think it does, right? Todd Bowles is not an offensive mind. It's going to be, the Tom Brady, even if Byron Leftwich is still there, right?
He's still there.
Yeah, exactly. He didn't go to Jacksonville. It was Doug Peterson. So again, we'll talk to
Right.
Emerson about that. But that's essentially what it's going to be, right? And that's really been, while we think it's the defense cough with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they weren't that great last year. They were the sort of, you know, the weakest link, so to speak, in that armor. And that's not to say that they weren't good, but they did take a step back. And we saw someone like the Los Angeles Rams defense, right, take a step up when they needed to. So I'm not too worried. Now, will I bet them at plus 700? Probably not. Right? Probably not. I'd probably wait to see if this number were to drift down if they do experience some early season rust, right? Or this is Tom Brady's last season, and there's sort of a Derek Jeter-esque type of ticker tape parade every time he rolls out to another city. I don't think that's the case. That's not what the NFL does. But I'd rather look at other teams in terms of their odds right now at a deeper number as opposed to Tampa Bay. Now, Tom Brady as a quarterback for fantasy, absolutely. Right. Mike Evans, absolutely. Chris Godwin, absolutely. Leonard Fournette, all the players are still there. So I would absolutely chase them because none of that changes. Right. That's all going to stay the same. The offensive line, that does change because they've lost some guys. So that's massive. But maybe more for like that's the upside is probably not as prevalent for Leonard Fournette as it might be for someone like Chris Godwin. Chris Godwin didn't do as well last year as he did in the years previous. So maybe his stock decreases in season long and redrafts, but I'm not too worried. You're exactly, you're probably right. Right. This is all window shopping. This is all like, hey, let's make everything kind of go away quietly. We'll give Bruce a front office position and he can kind of, sell off into the sunset, so to speak. And this is a new era with Todd Bowles.
Well, the absolute, just because you alluded to that, the biggest joke of all came today. I literally have this screwed around on social media. I laughed out loud, Reed, when I saw that the Buccaneers were putting Bruce Arians in their Ring of Honor. The guy's been there for 3 years. He's been there for 3 years. Yes, he won a championship, which is something that had only happened once in the team's history, but of course does not happen without Tom Brady. But there's no way, like friends of mine were texting about it, is of course, like this, it had to be part of the, retirement package. It had to, like for, Bruce Arians, because again, there's ego there too for a guy who has, he's done fine, but he's accomplished much, much less than say a Bill Belichick or a Tom Brady. That if he was like, man, if I'm going to go along with this, like he had a choice anyway, but if I'm going to go along with this quietly, sort of the hush money, if you will, throw me in that Ring of Honor. Let's celebrate me a little bit and what I achieved here in my 3 years in Tampa Bay. Like if ever there were an organization which had been before this Super Bowl, arguably the worst in terms of, win-loss success, arguably the worst, the losingest franchise in professional sports, Reed.
Yeah.
Like find me a team that has accomplished less and he's going in the Ring of Honor. It was just, those things, they don't mean a ton to people like us. They mean a lot to, fans of a team or the people that are obviously, put in the Ring of Honor. So I'm not discounting the achievement, the accomplishment, but for you, for me, like, I just found this laughable.
Yeah. Well, the Ring of Honor for the like a Patriot fan like yourself is a lot.
Yeah, spoiled, obviously.
Right. So the entry level, like the CV is a little bit it's more like illustrious. Like you need more, right? Like Tampa Bay has only been around. I'm trying to find out how long they've been around. What, since the late 70s, early 80s?
That's what I would guess. Yeah.
Yeah. So what,
like is Brad Johnson in the Ring of Honor? And maybe he is. I have no idea, but is he? Like,
maybe, but I'm sure guys like Saragusa, Brooks, right, Barber, like some of these players that played in that, like, John Gruden when he won that Super Bowl.
I feel like Gruden was in the Ring of Honor and maybe got pulled out after what happened. Yeah.
But, again, like this is not to get too meta, or maybe this is the exact show that we do.
Yeah.
But, right, this is all like pomp and circumstance, right? You can see this with any industry. Right. Any industry, any awards, like any award show, we can get into that a little bit, but any award show, sans like the Oscars and the Tonys, like those secondary, tertiary award shows. I mean, what's it all for? It's not for us, right? It's something else. It's a marketing ploy. It's to kind of go away quietly, to not say anything, because now that you're in the Ring of Honor, you have a certain level of character and personality you have to uphold.
Yeah.
You can't be someone who goes into the media and says Tampa Bay did this, 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 and this, because you're in the Ring of Honor. So it's a little bit of game theory as well.
Daniel has sent along a list of the Bucks Ring of Honor. Daniel, our
Mike Allstott. How do we forget about that?
Yeah, Warren Sapp, obviously. John Lynch.
Oh, am I saying? Yeah, I meant not Siragusa. Siragusa is with the Ravens. Sorry, not Siragusa. I meant Warren Sapp.
Some other guys that I'm not as familiar with, but you get some Hall of Famers in here for sure.
Dungy, yeah.
Yeah. Glazer, the owner's already in the Ring of Honor. It's
I mean, he created the Ring of Honor.
Throw yourself in there. Why not? But it's and this is going to sound like I've got this vendetta against Bruce Arians, which I swear is not the case. But just looking at the DraftKings Sportsbook odds, and you shouted it out, best in the NFC, second best in the NFL, plus 700. Not much changes with Bruce Arians leaving, and I think that there's a message there. There's a reason not much changes here, Reed, is because I really think that last year, over the last couple of years, Todd Bowles was the mastermind defensively when the team was really good, and obviously the personnel on the field. And offensively, it's, Brady and largely Brady's system, and obviously Byron Leftwich and those two, putting their heads together to make it. I just kind of think that Bruce Arians, and I don't want to say he's a bad coach. I don't believe that. He's a past coach of the year. He did well in Arizona. He did great as an interim coach in Indianapolis after Chuck Pagano got sick. So I'm not saying Bruce Arians sucks or something like that, but I do think that he was, at least in Tampa these last couple of years, just much more of a figurehead than he was this great coach.
Sure. And look, I mean, he did well in Pittsburgh as well, right? So he's a decorated coach, and he's done well in the past. But I also think too, this is like, we're seeing a transition in the NFL. If you take a look at the picture of the NFL coaches meeting, you'd see it like the handful of coaches that, like, the average age, right, it's coming down quite a bit.
Yeah, it ain't 80.
This is sort of and look, Todd Bowles is not a young chicken, right? He's fairly, he's part of that upper echelon in terms of age and experience in the NFL. But one thing I will say though is, and what Arians said, like, representation, right, for Black coaches, Black head coaches, needs to be completely, it needs to be more prevalent. And what Arians is saying is basically, we need representation. I want to give Todd Bowles the amount of the best chance of success as possible. So I do believe that. Now, in terms of the mechanisms and how it happened, we can, talk about that and debate that until the cows come home. But I do think, though, that there is now a level of, or maybe there's sort of a not level, but a stepping stone type of type of thing with Todd Bowles and maybe Byron Leftwich, of how can we keep continuity with our coaching staff and our team with the amount of talent that we have, right? Like, as long as possible, let's keep these players and make sure that this organization is set up for the next 10 years. And Bruce Arians is not the answer to that, right? He just isn't. Byron Leftwich might be, Eric Bieniemy might be for Kansas City or for another squad, another team. But I do think that there is a level of, every organization needs to evolve. Every organization, the S&P, the NASDAQ, every company, every football team here, every baseball, basketball, every golf, they need to evolve into the next level of the game. And Bruce Arians is not that guy anymore, right? A lot of these coaches aren't that type of, they don't have that in their system quite yet. So that's also, I think, a part of it, is that I do think that you see Tampa Bay saying, hey, look, this is not it. This is not it. And it wasn't easy. Like, if Brady says, I'll come back if BA's out, I think from an organizational standpoint, they look at that and they say, okay, perfect. This is a good chance now to make a transition. And we have some really solid coaches on our staff already.
It does make me wonder, and it's not really a talking point right now, it's, come the end of the season kind of thing, but it does make me wonder, now that Bruce Arians is at least he's not out, but out in that role. He's up in the front office. He'll be a guy that walks around smoking his cigars and cussing the players in a friendly manner.
Blinders hat,
having a good time, obviously. And I'm sure he and Brady will get along swimmingly with him in that role. I'm sure he's a great guy and cool to talk to. He just didn't want to play for him anymore. I don't think he hated the man. So I wonder if going forward, like Brady didn't want to retire. It's why he, stayed retired he gave up football for Lent and then came back. Basically, he was out for 40 days. He's going to be a free agent, next season. He's going to be 45. He always talked about retiring at 45, but he also said, I'm not going to retire if I suck and all of that stuff. There's been a lot of smoke with Miami as well. So maybe the guy just doesn't leave the state of Florida at this point, because I don't think San Fran's going to happen. They're going to build with Trey Lance. I wonder if he and Todd Bowles, and I'm not even talking about if they win a championship, like never mind that. If Brady plays well, regardless of where they finish and how well they do, but he gets along, he really connects with Todd Bowles. I wonder if he'd stick around in Tampa, which wouldn't have been the case with Arians, or maybe he does want to leave and replaces Tua, plays for Mike McDaniel in Miami. I'm curious what all of this means now for the Brady track.
Yeah. Well, how many years do you think he has left? 2?
Well, honestly, I think he has as many left as he wants, because I think I don't think he could play for another decade, but I think that the way the NFL rules work now, and they're so catered to the quarterbacks, and he's just not hit the way he once was, and he takes such good care of his body, and he's such a intellectual, such a smart player. I don't think he will, but I think if he wanted to play for another 4 or 5 years, absolutely think he could. I think he's got the skill and the body to do it. Yeah. More realistically, it's 1 or 2. But if he wanted to play another 4 or 5, go to 50, I really think he could.
Yeah, but not in the capacity that he is now. Because I don't
not MVP runner up. I agree with you on that.
And I don't think that at an increased age, look, all it takes is one.
Yeah.
Right. One hit to the knee, one hit to the hip, and I'm not just saying because he's old, he gets hit in the head, anything, of course. Right? As much you can't. There's no way, unless he has some, genetically modifying, genome that he can, some PIM particle that he can use that we don't know about.
Yeah.
Then there's no way, because he can't reverse Father Time. That is going to get us all.
Well, so far he's beaten Father Time.
So far, it actually looked like the check always becomes due, though.
When he did retire, it looked like he was the only guy to ever defeat Father Time.
Yeah, the check comes due at some point, and whether it's in the form of an injury or it's a form of noodle arm, a la Peyton Manning, to Tom Brady, whatever it may be, the check comes due. And look, we said that last year, and it didn't. Or kind of did, but not really, because he was still solid. Yeah. But at some point, look, Todd Bowles in his career is like what is he? I mean, I can pull up his numbers here. He's 26-41.
Granted,
he was a 400 record as a head coach. So, and look, he was with the Jets. So it's a totally different story. You can be a lot better with Tom Brady in that squad. But what does Tom Brady want?
Gronk will come back and so on.
Right. He wants championships, right? Yeah. He wants championships. And right now, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers give him the best opportunity. If you're looking at other places in the NFL that need a quarterback, that need an aging quarterback, even if it's TB12, who are they, right? They're teams that have a good offensive line. They have some players, but hopefully in the last 5 years, they drafted a rookie quarterback, or the last 3 to 4 years, drafted a rookie quarterback that's on a rookie contract. So that worries me for Brady's sake, because in the places, and again, you have to marry it with what he wants to do. Clearly, he's the driver of his own destiny, and we're seeing it maybe transpire with BA, where he went to Tampa Bay, all that stuff. He's the driver of his own destiny. He's not going to go somewhere that he's not going to be the guy. And I think most of these teams, while they could obviously use Tom Brady, aren't going to want Tom Brady, if that makes sense. Sure. Or if they do, look, it's not a team that's ready to win.
When he was a free agent leaving the Patriots, it was the Bucs and it was, perhaps the Titans. Like it wasn't like he had this line at his door, come play for us.
Right, exactly.
Now, granted, he's played much better these last 2 years than he did the last couple years with New England, and the weapons have a ton to do with that.
Yeah, right. And like I said, you go anywhere else and you look at some wide receiver duos, and like Miami would be great, God, Fino, I didn't even smell the cup. Jesus. Like you look at the Dolphins, and yeah, that makes a lot of sense. But now you're playing in the NFC East again, or excuse me, the AFC East again,
Yeah.
where you got to go, go up to New England. You got to go up to these cold places, and his body, like, and that even more so. You got older bones and an older body, and the cold doesn't work as well. There's a reason why he's down here, right, in the NFC South, because he's either playing in domes or he's playing in Florida. So like there's a lot that goes into that too. And again, I don't like if he wanted to move out west, I think he would have done that previously. So I don't think he can. And like Daniel puts in the Falcons in our chat, like again, what is he accomplishing if he goes to the Falcons, especially if Calvin Ridley's not there, which I don't think he will be. Right? You got one player on the Falcons, Kyle Pitts, who's a rookie, right? It'll be 2 to 3 years, but still, you got one player. And most people aren't going to want to go to the Falcons, right? Just because like a 47-year-old Tom Brady is the quarterback.
Whatever. Didn't Tampa sign Russell Gage anyway? So he brought Atlanta to him.
Right. Exactly. Okay. Yeah. Russell Gage is, but like that's what you have to start working out, right? Yeah. Doesn't make business sense for Brady and for the other team. Like he's always the exception. He'll be the exception to the rule. But every year that passes, that becomes less and less, in my opinion.
Well, so let's talk about who Brady has to contend with, obviously, once again in the NFC. And of course, you know, a team he's going to attempt to go through that he couldn't last year's the defending Super Bowl champs, the Rams, who got even better today, if you can imagine. They went out, Bobby Wagner, after seemed like weeks of rumors and speculation, and you know, much to the dismay of Matt Judon of the Patriots and his very public recruiting efforts on Twitter, it did not come to fruition. 5 years for the 8-time All-Pro, something like that, up to $65 million. So for those who believe the cap is the cap with an R in the middle of it, how are the Rams achieving this, my friend?
I don't know, man. Are they just like giving away equity in the team?
I don't know. It's unbelievable.
Maybe a lot of their players are on a Bitcoin contract, like OBJ.
Could be. I don't know how that works against your cap.
So maybe because it's a dip right now, it's less on the dollar. I don't know. Like look, I like the cap space. Like I have to look more into that and how this is possible. Like Robert Woods is gone. He's in Tennessee, so you're saving there. You have these shorter contracts, right, with guys like OBJ. So there's that. And look, a lot of their contracts are in a handful of players, right? It's Aaron Donald, Jalen Ramsey, Matt Stafford. Whitworth is done. He's gone. He retired, rightfully so. Mm-hmm. So you have some of these, right, that I think it's very top heavy. Now, what that means for the entire cap, I'm not too sure, but I'm sure that they're going to be cutting a lot of players, right? They still have a lot of holes. And this was the thing last year that we talked about, is their lack of depth. If Ramsey goes down, they got no one that's even close to Ramsey's talent. Like if he goes down and gets hurt, they are in a lot of trouble. Same with Aaron Donald and same with Bobby Wagner if he goes down. Now, having said that, Bobby Wagner now with Jalen Ramsey and Aaron Donald, that is a formidable, and he stays in division. I mean, you're talking about the rich getting richer. Bobby Wagner is a tackling machine, right? So you talk about James Conner with Arizona. You talk about, I don't even know who's going to be the running back in Seattle, Rashad Penny, right? Like that doesn't scare you one bit. So yeah, I mean, you really like it for the Rams. I know guys like you and Brendan Glasheen don't like it because the cap space is not the cap space, and you feel like everyone should be going to the Patriots instead of the Rams. But you gotta do your beat LA chance more and more, and not just in the Garden.
Gonna have to. I want to know. And Sean McVay, like I've come across him, you know, once. I'm not going to sit here and say I'm friends with him or something like that. He wouldn't recognize me in a lineup, but I just wanted the deal with the devil this guy made from, you know, back when he was like a high school, college player, kind of like pudgy kid with frosted tips, to, you know, being one of the youngest and most successful and handsome coaches in the NFL, with a powerhouse of a team that somehow keeps getting better and better after winning a title. Never mind what he's got waiting for him at home. This guy is just on an unbelievable run right now.
Do I smell a little bit of jealousy here, Adam
Yeah,
Kaufman?
a little bit of jealousy.
That's not a good look on you.
Pour it all
Um,
over me. Just a little bit of jealousy.
yeah, it's not a good
It's
look on you, buddy.
unbelievable.
No, I mean, hey, let's compare
Yeah,
Sean McVay to Adam Kaufman.
where's my genie?
Right? Do you think Sean McVay has copious amounts of DVDs in his background when he's doing Zoom meetings? No, he doesn't. He
If
wants
you
to do
want,
more Zoom meetings.
but if he wants him, he does.
Right? Does he have 3 beautiful, healthy boys right now?
Yeah, no,
No,
that's
he
a good
doesn't.
point.
Does he have a
That's
loving
good
wife
point.
who lets you be a schmuck every day of the week? No, he doesn't. So
Oh,
I think
no.
you're leading in the scale that is
I'm
Sean
doing
McVay.
okay. I'm
Yeah,
doing
look,
okay.
he was front and center in that picture, right? And
Yeah,
I think the
it
guys
was.
at Good Morning Football and Kyle Brandt did a great job breaking down the pictures and on Twitter. So go check that out. They said Sean McVay looks like a model for Untuck It, but
It's true.
you're right. Look, Sean McVay, like, and this is what it should be, Koff, right? And this is, again, I don't know why I'm doing this. So I'm getting very meta on this program.
Yeah,
I'm calling it a program too, but
it's okay. It's very
It's-
formal of you.
right. You take a look at every industry, right? Every industry has to evolve. It has to embrace new technology. And new technology outside of the literal definition of it is coaches who are younger, who bring a new fold to the NFL to make us appreciate it a lot more. It's not just running up the middle, gain 2 yards and a cloud of dust. It's a lot of what Sean McVay is doing. And that's what everyone else is trying to do, right? With Matt LaFleur, with Josh McDaniels, with right a lot of these other coaches that you're seeing now that are evolving the sport, right? The quarterbacks of the Tom Brady, the sit in the pocket is going to be a thing of the past. It's going to be the Kyler Murrays, the Lamar Jacksons, the Malik Willis. It's going to be these quarterbacks that are athletic as you know what. And the coaches that need to be there to make sure that the NFL gets to another level are the guys like Sean McVay. So they're going to be paid a lot of money. It's the same as that we look at any burgeoning and emerging market, is that the smartest, right, and the youngest and the swiftest technology that can get you from point A to point B at the cheapest cost is going to win. And that is currently Sean McVay in terms of what he's been able to do to give return on investment for the Rams. Now, the amount of money that they have, I don't know what I don't know where this money is coming from, because they don't have a network type of deal like the Yankees do, where they just like a free mint where you just print money.
Right.
But right now they're 21st in salary cap. So that's right.
Unbelievable.
It's unbelievable that they still have money. But credit to these guys. That's what they have to do. That's what they're paid to do, is manage the budget, manage a salary cap, and acquire these. Look, and Bobby Wagner's old. He's old. He's on the older side. Even though he's great, you're giving him 5 for 50. There's probably a lot of stuff in that contract as well that says, look, if you get this, this, and this, we don't have to guarantee. I don't know what the guarantees were. I don't know if it was 50 guaranteed, but like there's probably a lot of things in that contract that make it, where they don't have to pay him that much. So yeah, I think Sean McVay is doing great. Good for him. Don't yuck someone's yum. He's doing exactly what he was put on this earth to do, and he's doing well, and it's for our entertainment.
Looking at these DraftKings Sportsbook Championship odds here, you have the Bills at plus 650. They are number one, obviously have had a good offseason. The Bucks, as we talked about, plus 700. Then you have 3 teams at plus 1,000, the Chiefs, the Packers, the Rams. Are the Rams with, what they did last year to reloading in the offseason and then some? I mean, do these odds look right to you? Are they where they belong? Should they be higher than Tampa?
Not really, because it's really hard to repeat. I mean,
Yeah,
it's extremely hard to repeat as a Super Bowl champion, let alone get back there. So, and if you can, God, more testament to you if you can do that. So I don't think they should, right? Because that's baking in that fact that the 3 teams ahead of them.
Well, should they be marginally better than, say, the Chiefs and Packers? Like, should the Rams be coming in at plus 850? I don't know.
The Packers is interesting, right? Packers, I think, is a lot of books still trying to gather money for that handle. I don't see it, because I mean, I do see, for Green Bay's purposes, they've never drafted a rookie wide receiver that has played well in the draft, but they have to this year, right? And that'll be interesting for fantasy, that most people might not look at that rookie wide receiver. I don't know who it's going to be for Green Bay, but that might be something that we attack during the year. more on that later on, obviously. But yeah, I think maybe I would switch. Like I would make Green Bay longer at plus 12, plus 13.
Mm-hmm.
But look at what they've done. I mean, they lost Devontae Adams. That's massive. Yes, they lost MVS. Not as big, but they still got AJ Dillon. They still got Jones. They still got, obviously, Aaron Rodgers. If
Lazard.
you acquire a wide receiver, and that's why OBJ is still out there, there's some wide receivers that maybe make sense for Green Bay. That's most books, I believe, protecting their heads, hedging, right? Of like, hey, we don't know who yet's going to be with Green Bay. Because if it is someone like OBJ, I do think that makes a difference.
Let's switch gears a little bit, get into some golf, of course, always near and dear to your heart. The Valero Texas Open, it's going on right now. You've got a leader in Russell Knox in the clubhouse at the moment at 7 under, although obviously it being day one, you've got plenty of people very close in contention. In fact, the top 16 guys are all inside 3 strokes of the lead right now, and many of them are still out there on the course as well. What are your thoughts on day one?
Yeah, Russell Knox, fantastic round. 7 under. I think Rasmus Højgaard had the better round. He was at 8 going into his 18th hole. And not even smelling the cup yet again. But Rasmus Højgaard was at 8 under. And he was playing fantastic. He double bogeyed his last, so he's down to 6 under. But I do think, look, this is a tournament that has given way to a lot of first-time winners. So it's exciting in that sense. If the guy who wins isn't qualified for the Masters yet, this is the last time to qualify, because any person that wins the golf tournament before Augusta that's not yet qualified, it's an automatic bid into that major.
Mm-hmm.
So that's massive. But this is still early. Scoring conditions were prime in the morning and today. There's no wind there. The greens are receptive and soft, so you need to score. So guys like Bryson and Rory, who didn't do anything, especially Bryson was all over the place. He looks a little off, a little rusty. That does scare you a little bit. Luke List is someone that's very interesting and intriguing, maybe not from a winning this tournament sense, but for next week, like for the Masters. Even though that sounds weird because List cannot putt, he is hitting the ball really well. Gary Woodland was also hitting the ball really well today, just some bad holes where he just didn't do well. So that's what I'm looking for for the most part, Koff, is how are these guys getting ready for Augusta National? But also too, I think there's some players like this is still way early in the tournament. And we've seen a lot of the guys pre-tournament who are favorites win, but we've also seen guys who are 200-1, like Connors, who Monday qualified to win this golf tournament, win the golf tournament. So a lot of golf to be played. And I wouldn't worry so much yet about if your guy's not within 3 or 4 strokes of the lead, because 3 more rounds left.
Anything surprising you so far, either favorably or obviously a guy getting off to a cold start?
Not really. I think the one thing that is surprising, I thought Rory would be a little bit better. This course is tailor-made for him, right? Long, you need to be long off a tee, sort of. Or it always helps if you're long. You don't necessarily need to be, but you need to, length always helps. And the driver, if you're good with it, is always going to be a differentiating factor. But the fact that he can do more today is a little bit worrisome. Or not worrisome. It's just a little weird. I thought he was going to do a little bit more. I still think that he gets in the top 10, top 5 of this tournament, because that's how good he is. And we've seen him win before. He won the Wells Fargo last year before the PGA Championship. So it's not like his mind is on the major, even though the Masters is his last tournament for the career Grand Slam. He's someone that I'm watching closely because he looks like he's in form right now. And he's currently at 16 plus 1600 at Augusta for next week. So he's one that I'm interested in watching. But yeah, I'm just excited to see these guys play out and potentially someone get their first win.
How much does it surprise you that we're going to go into the Masters with Scotty Scheffler, not Jon Rahm, as the world's number 1?
By the way he's playing, not surprising. From a 30,000-foot view, it's surprising, right? Because Rahm is so good, but his putter has been garbage. He hasn't been doing well. Scotty Scheffler has won 3 events out of his last 5 starts.
Mm-hmm.
And, him always being there, top 15, top 14 in overall world golf ranking. Last year, he did so amazing in all the majors as well. And that's how you rise in ranking, right? You play well in these bigger tournaments like the majors or the WGCs or the ones that have increased FedEx and world golf ranking points. And that's how you increase. He was always there. And so when you see how he's played and then finishing first 3 times in the last 5 events, that's not surprising at all. Because right now he is that guy who's playing the best golf. And will I be betting it? No, absolutely not. But I'm not surprised at all.
Are you just constant? I know you're very busy. You're writing articles. You're showing up on camera for DK. You're, doing hits all over the place. You're not a guy who's got a lot of time, but are you filling that time constantly refreshing Twitter, looking for the latest on Tiger Woods and Augusta?
No, because everybody else is like doing my job for me. Everyone else got like Jet Tracker,
push notifications.
Yeah, I got Jet Tracker on. Like they see where his yacht is, which is kind of creepy.
Yeah.
To know that you can follow someone's jet. That's that's another story. But look, I think he's playing. I don't have to refresh Twitter to get the confirmation. Just all the signs point to him playing. Mm-hmm. Now, how well he does, that's another question of is he going to be ready? But I'm not going to pass any judgment or speculation right now because look, we've done that before where we've kind of Tiger out. And this is different than his last back injuries and everything else.
Yeah.
He almost lost his life and his leg. This is a lot different. And this is Augusta National. This is not the RSM. And no disrespect to the RSM, but Augusta National is very hilly. It's extremely tough, in terms of a walking course. And that's why there's a lot of correlations to Kapalua in Maui in terms of the walking, not the course itself, but in terms of the undulations and the hills and the elevation. It's similar to Augusta National. That's going to take a lot on it. It's going to put a lot in his leg. So we'll see. I'm sure once we get him officially in, that'll be time for all the talking heads and the Monday morning quarterbacking for Tiger Woods. But I think he's playing, so I'm not too worried about seeing the official note on it.
So follow me on this. I'll put this as only I can. Did you see The Expendables, the movie The Expendables?
Was that more like Stallone and
among many others?
Schwarzenegger and Randy Couture
and Jason Statham.
I think I did.
Bruce Willis
a long time ago.
Thoughts to Bruce Willis's family?
Yeah,
I saw that. Tragic. Obviously, we won't discuss that here, but it stinks. Well, the reason I bring that up is because Schwarzenegger, in particular, he was governor of California at the time. He'd retired from acting to go into politics, dreams of the Oval Office and all of that. But he did, a cameo for his buddies. He showed up in one scene, and he comes out of the shadows, and he's got the big stogie in his mouth, and he's in it for one scene. It's just the best. It was feel good. It was so nice to see him again. Is that what this is for Tiger here at Augusta? Not for him, but for all of us, for the fans, for the people watching. It doesn't matter how he does. If he finishes last, he finishes last. Is it just enough to see him after the car accident, after wondering, will this guy ever walk again, let alone golf again? Is it just enough to see him out there at Augusta maybe one last time?
Yeah, well, this won't be his last. But to your question, I think it is on a certain level, right? Because all of us have grown up with Tiger Woods. There's a certain level of, like people who are our age and our demographic, even not, have grown up watching Tiger Woods and have seen, right? Rarely do you get in your lifetime to see something as pivotal, not just for the sport, but for the culture and for, his people that has done so much. Right. And has brought so much to the game. Now, there was a lot of transgressions that have happened in the past. Yeah. And you don't excuse any of those.
Wasn't a smooth rise to fame.
No. But nothing is in life.
Yeah.
Right. Nothing is. And he's been someone who's been the most popular person in the entire world. Just take a step back and think about that he's the most recognizable person in the world. To feel like anywhere you go on this little green dot in the universe, you are known to every single person.
Yeah.
Where you have to name your yacht Privacy. That's the only place. And now people are tracking your jet.
Right.
So that's massive. And outside of that, the thing that makes us all, feel like little kids again is watching, at least for me, is watching Tiger play. And it's not just that too. And I would take it to another level of business and of how it can affect the sport that I love. that has allowed me all of these opportunities is that it raises the needle, like it moves the needle and it raises the tide, right? He's the rising tide that raises all ships.
Mhm.
Doesn't matter if he's going to miss the cut. Is that he and then Bryson DeChambeau, right? And I'm not considering those two yet in the same category,
Sure.
not even close. But if it's not Tiger, it's Bryson. But aside from Bryson, Tiger is the guy that moves the entire sports world more than any other person. I'm talking about LeBron. I'm talking about Giannis. Talking about MJ.
Mhm.
Tiger is because of what he does and how many fans watch Tiger. That's what he does for the sport. And so the players also want him back too, right? Because that means more for them. Now, Tiger announcing that he's going to play, and he won the PIP, right? He won the PIP last year, which is essentially an award of, not an award. Well, I guess it is an award for who brings the most eyeballs, so to speak, the audience, who engages the most of the audience in the PGA Tour, and they get a cool $8 million. He won that last year, and he wasn't even playing as much. So now you talk about Tiger also being a businessman, saying, hey, I'm going to hold my cards until the very last moment. I'm going to send a tweet out or a video saying it's time, right? And that's going to get, millions and millions and millions of views, because whenever he does something, Koff, it's deliberate and he wants to win. It's the same as Brady, right?
Yep.
These guys are in an upper echelon. If they're not going there to win, they don't even want to be close to it at all. So I think, yes, it's very exciting, but I also think too, that if he's there, there's a chance that he's thinking to himself, he's definitely thinking to himself, he's going to win. But there's also a chance, from our perspective, that it means more than just him appearing there.
It's funny, sort of in the, because we're old enough now to get toward that next generation, in the way that everyone is fantasizing about the idea of LeBron and Bronny playing together in the NBA, when in reality, like Bronny's, maybe not even good enough to be in the NBA, quite frankly. I mean, it's and that's not even comparing him to LeBron, where you could be an all-star and not be on LeBron's level, obviously. But Bronny, maybe he's an NBA role player. We'll see. I really hope and I come from a place of not knowing anything about this beyond what I see and read on, on the internet. But I really hope that Charlie Woods is a good golfer, and obviously he looks really good, really young, but I hope to one day see him on the tour and be, he's not going to be Tiger. How could he be? But I hope to see him contending for PGA Tour championships every once in a while, and being a guy that is really successful at the craft, because it would just be so much fun, purely selfishly as a fan. It would be, and as a fan of sports, no matter what you think of golf, it would just be so much fun to see that lineage continue.
Yeah. And kudos, Charlie, because you got the biggest shadow of any kid to their father in any industry ever in the history of time. Right. Sans Caesar or Copernicus
or Jesus
or well, Jesus was the son.
That's what I mean.
But you have the shadows casted largest on you, my friend.
Yeah.
And for you to potentially want to do that and pave your own way, that takes an enormous amount of courage. So even if he's not winning, that's kudos to him. What you want to do, right, is protect your kin. And Tiger's going to try and protect Charlie as much as possible, but he's also going to prepare him and say, hey, look, this, he's going to give him all of it. You're going to be compared to me every single second of your life if you do this. Even if you don't, you're going to be compared to me. But especially if you play golf professionally, my name is always my first name is always going to be tied to your last name.
Yeah.
Right. Always. Even if you win, it's going to be Charlie's got one major or one tournament. Tiger has 86. Right. You got 85 more to go, son. So that's always going to be the case. But to your point, absolutely. But as you're a father, I'm going to become a father soon. All you want is the best for your kids.
Mm-hmm.
And if that's the thing that makes it the best for him, and boy, you got one of the best coaches in Tiger. You can always just call good old dad and be like, Dad, how does this course play? What do I do here? I mean, who else is better than Tiger? So yeah, that'd be fantastic. But, I just want to make sure that you've seen it before. Boy, you've seen it so many times in sports where these child prodigies or these, kids of former players just not cut it. And it's so sad that, that's been their life. And there's going to be a lot of stuff that happens right out. You just hope that doesn't happen for Charlie, because those kids have been through quite a bit. But that'd be a lot of fun, Koff. That'd be so much fun. Like Bronny and Braun playing. And then, 10 years later, maybe not, maybe even less, we get Woods, like Tiger and Charlie playing in the same tournament.
How old is Charlie? I know he's still young, but
12, maybe 13, maybe 12, 11, 12. So he's got like maybe 6 to at least 7 more years of being like, okay, you can probably hang.
Yeah.
But look, we've seen other golfers play in these professional tournaments at 15, 16 years old.
Mm-hmm.
But being competitive and it being a profession, he's probably going to wait until after college, right? Collegiate golf now is such a good breeding ground, right before the Korn Ferry Tour and these other
Tiger
tours.
went to Stanford.
Right. But like Tiger went to Stanford. A lot of these players went there before we've had the web.com. It's called Nationwide before, now Korn Ferry.
Yeah.
And these feeder tours. But yeah, collegiate golf is so good. I mean, you see some of these golfers now who are coming out of college, right into the pros, and they're making, look at like Victor Hovland and Colin Morikawa and these guys, and Matt Wolff. They won their first year on tour right out of college. So collegiate golf, NCAA is a fantastic place to take some of your beatings. And to get that experience. But boy, like you see those 5 letters in the back of that caddy bib or on that bag start with a W.
Yeah.
Oh God, you would that's good for golf, period.
Will you be on the greens of Augusta coming up next week?
Koff, if I were on the greens of Augusta, I'd be there right now.
You'd just be shouting it out from the mountaintops
on hole 12, the par 3. I'd be sleeping on that green. No, like Augusta, you have to. It's a little bit more.
Still on the media bucket list, then.
Yeah, there's a little bit more that needs to transpire for us to be able to go to Augusta. Let's start with maybe like Sawgrass.
Sure.
Let's start with the U.S. Open in our backyard first.
Yeah.
Then we'll make our way out to Augusta. But no, that's definitely a bucket list. And then also too, Koff, for the media people.
Mm-hmm.
The day after, so Monday, there's a raffle. Maybe they do it on Sunday. They probably do it on Monday. There's a
actually
raffle.
play the course, right?
Right. You play the course. So believe you me, that is I'm going to try my darndest, especially if I can't get there as a fan doing the raffle to get tickets. I'm going to try to do it the old fashioned way, which is work my way there.
Yeah. If ever there were a pinch me moment, for sure. We're going to get out of here in a minute. Some of your top NBA plays tonight, folks, in terms of mid-tier to value. You could look at Karis LeVert, Kevin Love, both for Cleveland, Andre Drummond once again for Brooklyn. You've got a couple LA guys in there, Isaiah Hartenstein. If you want to attempt to trust Dwight Howard, it's hard after the egg he laid the other day, because he played 5 minutes and then got sat for some reason. Moses Brown, speaking of, we were talking about Jesus before. Moses is in action tonight. So, part in the hardwood, and some stud plays. Giannis, Embiid, couple of really, really good guys in really good spots, obviously, and MVP candidates as well, as they will be in action tonight. So keep an eye on it. We want to thank producer Eamon, once again, Daniel, our technical director. Enjoy all the Madden sims now that we are 2+ years into those coming your way tonight. It's crazy. Just hit that anniversary a couple of days ago on March 28th. It's nuts, Reed. It's absolutely nuts. We were honored to be a part of it for as long as we were. But for Reed T. Fowler, I'm Adam Kaufman. Enjoy all things NBA tonight, football news that never stops, and of course, the Valero Texas Open. We'll catch you again soon. Reed, see you, buddy.
All right, bud. Play Chris Middleton.
Sure.